As we continue our journey through the secrets of metallic dragons, we focus on the most incorrigible pranksters and divas of all dragonkind today. While other dragons build great empires or slay horrific monsters, the copper dragon is only here for a good time. If you find yourself in the dry uplands or the many rocky hilltops of Faerun, you likely have entered the territory of a copper dragon. You may see it flying overhead, or more likely, escaping into a rocky crevice and tunneling deep within the earth. Copper dragons are hatched from oval-shaped eggs that resemble stones. Wormlings are a ruddy brown with a metallic sheen. As they grow into adulthood, their scales become coppery, and the oldest of their kind have a slightly green tint to them, leaving some scholars to believe that the scales of these dragons oxidize in a way similar to actual copper. Their pupils change as well with age, turning from a bright earthy bronze to orbs of pure turquoise. Look closely at its head. Check for 4 brown plates jutting over the eyes and extending back as horns. Look at the wings. The manta ray shape of a copper dragon is a far cry from the bat-like wings of a red dragon. These distinctions are crucial, for they share territory, and confusing a red for a copper is a one-way ticket to a fiery doom. Their scales grow in large segments, giving them a harsh appearance. Their tails are rounded and muscular, but somewhat short when compared to their metallic cousins. Despite being one of the smaller metallic dragon subspecies, an adult copper is still the size of an elephant. Their bodies are top-heavy, with forelimbs and shoulders that are longer and more muscular than their back limbs. While not an uncommon trait in dragons, this is far more pronounced within this subspecies. Their claws are also extremely sharp and continue to grow through the dragon's entire life, needing to constantly be filed down and sharpened. Finally, the wings, while capable of flight, are small compared to the dragon's body, making long-distance travel by flight rather difficult for a copper dragon. These adaptations are due to their choice of habitat. Copper dragons make their lairs deep underground and carve out a series of rocky crevices, tight tunnels, and pitfalls to discourage intruders. In such a claustrophobic environment, it is nearly impossible to fly. You have to be able to jump and climb to traverse a copper dragon's lair. Putting these pieces together, you can begin to see why this subspecies of dragon evolved into a smaller, more compact, but still very strong body. Copper dragons are well known as the most agile and dexterous of the dragons when on land, something that is the envy of other dragons, especially the red ones. While on the subject of a copper dragon's home, it is good advice to be on the lookout for strange behavior coming from your companions. As the dragon's magic bleeds into its surroundings, the copper's good humors will begin to affect the local wildlife. Animals will begin to speak in the draconic language and have nothing but good things to say about their draconic master. Intelligent creatures, such as humans, will sometimes succumb to fits of laughter while in the territory of a copper dragon. Even the hardest of men and women find themselves giggling like children for no reason. It is also advisable to keep a close watch on the earth itself. Copper dragons are masters of earth magic. Such spells as Move Earth, Stone Shape, and Wall of Stone come naturally to them, and they use this magic to craft and protect their lairs. When stone walls appear where they shouldn't, or solid ground suddenly turns into deep, sticky mud, that is likely the work of a copper dragon. They use this magic to aid them in combat, whether against would-be slayers or rival dragons. Other dragons grow to such immense sizes that maneuvering in the claustrophobic lair of a copper is nearly impossible for them. The intruder suffers death by 1,000 cuts, all while the copper dragon throws all manner of jests and insults their way. And for a dragon, hurt pride is just as painful as the bite of a sword. Copper dragons are not fighters. They much prefer a good time. They appreciate wit, good humor, and riddles. They enjoy the company of bards most of all, specifically the funny ones, and will usually build a stage for their musically inclined guests to perform upon. A bard can learn a lot of good stories and performances from a copper dragon, provided they do not overstay their welcome and are extremely tolerant of practical jokes. Victims of a copper dragon's pranks include boots filled with goat piss, falling face first into mud, and being chased into a river by angry bees, all while the dragon laughs hysterically from a distance. This behavior does not change when they encounter one of their own kind. The two dragons will continue to escalate in pranks until one of them becomes offended. Then they will likely declare a rivalry that will last their entire lives. Which is why most copper dragons tend to live by themselves, far away from others of their own kind. When it comes to a copper dragon's diet, something truly fascinating is revealed. While omnivorous, these dragons prefer to eat venomous creatures, such as giant scorpions, which is their favorite food. While not immune to the venomous sting of such creatures, the copper dragons can digest the venom with ease, even claiming that the toxin provides some much-needed spice to their meals. Not only that, but copper dragons love the challenge of hunting dangerous game. To aid in this hunt, the copper dragons have two advantages. The first is their teeth. Straight teeth with extremely sharp tips and thick roots, perfect for punching through the exoskeleton of their preferred prey. The second is their breath weapons. Like all metallic dragon subspecies, copper dragons possess two distinct breath weapons. The first is a stream of highly corrosive acid, which is almost exclusively used as self-defense, but can sometimes be used to aid in digesting a meal. The second is called the slowing breath. The dragon exhales a large cone of gas that slows the movements of its victims. According to wizards that have studied these dragons, this gas has magical effects similar to narcotics. Once inside the body, the gas slows the metabolism, causing a slower heart rate and muscle fatigue. Only those in possession of a high constitution can shake off the effects of this gas. Although a perfect tool for defense, copper dragons typically only use the slowing breath on humanoids, to make them more amenable to giving the dragon their companionship and the social interaction that it craves. Now we come to the most anticipated part of a copper dragon's life, its hoard. Like all dragon kind, this subspecies hoards treasure for itself in its lair. They love earthborn metals and precious stones. They guard this treasure furiously with a series of clever traps, earth magics, burying it so deep that it would be impossible to find, or other, more clever means, such as decoy treasures. That is, with the exception of wine, which they do not hoard but consume en masse. It is no secret to those towns that share territory with such dragons that coppers love the smell and taste of wine, often becoming addicted to it. As such, copper dragons will often make deals with humanoid settlements. They will act as guardians in exchange for a yearly tithe of wine, entertainment, and the occasional precious gemstone from the earth. Be careful not to mention a copper dragon's treasure hoard, as they are notorious among their kind as being the greediest of all the metallic dragons. A scholar once told me that these dragons are so taken with their own charms that they believe themselves to deserve whatever they want. A copper dragon values its hoard above even the company it craves, and will perform any trickery or cruelty necessary to defend its treasure. For those coppers that live closer to human settlements, they will often adopt the role as a thieves' guild master, or cartel leader, or something of the like. And while they take to these roles with as much honor as can be expected, still, it requires a certain deep-rooted greed and viciousness to occupy such professions in the first place. So the next time you find yourself in the territory of a copper dragon, simply give it applause, compliment its lair, and leave without mentioning the word treasure. For your own sake, of course. Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then why not subscribe? It's a great way to support the channel and it's totally free. I also have a Patreon if you feel like being super duper supportive, but it's not necessary. Before you go, why not leave a comment? Tell me what you thought about this video and others on the channel. Tell me what kind of videos you want to see in the future. I love hearing what you guys have to say. Also, if you haven't heard, I'm accepting your ttrpg stories. It doesn't have to be Dungeons & Dragons, it can be from any game. If your character had a moment that is epic, tragic, or just plain hilarious, send it to my email in the description below. I'll pick out my 3 favorites and give them their own videos right here on the channel. Thank you all so much, can't wait to read your stories, and I'll see you in the next one.